Dillian, the body snatcher right here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
Right, so here are my thoughts on Deontay Wilder versus King Kong Luis Ortiz. Now, I watched this fight live on Sky Sports. I fell asleep about halfway through the Leo Santa Cruz fight and woke up just as Deontay Wilder was doing his ring walk. And by the way, quite a good ring walk. Ultimately, I didn't do a fight review straight after like I normally would because I was way too tired. It's about, 5 o'clock in the morning, for half 5 maybe. So, way too tired. Now, this fight went pretty much how most people thought it was going to go, which is a Deontay Wilder win by knockout. The thing is that it went on a little bit longer than I think most people predicted. Most people, including myself, thought that Wilder would get rid of him no later than 3 rounds, considering that Luis Ortiz has looked terrible over his last couple of fights. Now, however long this fight was going to last, again, it was predictable that Luis Ortiz was always going to be the one in control. He was going to be the one on top. Wilder cannot outbox Luis Ortiz. It's just impossible. It's never ever going to happen. So the first 6 rounds, I had Luis Ortiz winning all 6 of the first rounds. So Luis Ortiz, he looked very, very comfortable in there, even smiling. He was landing some pretty good shots on Wilder. And Wilder was fighting scared. He had a concerned look on his face, very, very cautious. Almost like he didn't want to throw the right hand and overcommit himself in case he missed and got one caught over the top, which is what happened in the first round. When Wilder did actually throw a right hand, Luis Ortiz went underneath it and come up with obviously his big left hand over the top. Of course, Ortiz is southpaw, so that's his power hand. So that landed on Wilder, not cleanly, but I think it's enough to make Wilder go, okay, I'm going to hold fire on this right hand in case it happens again. And I think that's why Deontay Wilder was fighting a little bit nervous. In addition to the fact maybe he was a little bit psychologically not quite there because of seeing his younger brother earlier on in the night getting smoothed out by another journeyman. So again, maybe that factored into it. But ultimately, most people predicted that Wilder was at some point going to land the right hand and Ortiz wasn't going to be able to take it. And that would be all she wrote. So Wilder, he was pouring the odd jab here and there, and he wasn't really committing himself, as I said earlier, with the right hand. And Luis Ortiz, I think, got way too comfortable, and ultimately became a bit of a sitting duck. And although Ortiz was fully in control of the fight, he was the one that was setting up with Wilder. He was the one that was trapping him and maneuvering Wilder wherever it is that he wanted him. So Luis Ortiz was very, very in control of this fight. But again, we knew that was going to happen until Wilder landed the big punch. And ultimately, that's what happened. And coincidentally, in round number 7, you guys will remember the first fight when Luis Ortiz had Wilder virtually out there in round number 7. And it was Wilder who landed the big punch with like seconds to go of round number 7 that hit Luis Ortiz flush, and Ortiz went down. Now, I haven't seen anybody's uploads. I haven't really had a chance to listen to anybody's reviews today, but I have seen people talking about it on social media, saying how the referee counted too fast and whatever else. And sure, there's an argument to be had, but ultimately, I mean, once Wilder lands one big punch, even if the referee allowed it to continue or didn't count fast, Wilder was just going to land it again the very next round, because that round was pretty much done. So again, this was Luis Ortiz's fault. He was in full control of round number 7, and he went for it with like 10 seconds left to go and ultimately paid the price, which is a pretty crazy thing for Ortiz to do, where he had a moment of pure stupidity. As I said before, whenever people fight Wilder, at some point, because they realise that skill-wise he's not on a level of an elite boxer, they get comfortable. And when you get comfortable, that's when you get hit. And every single fighter seems to get comfortable. And it's really, really weird. You think that they'd know by now. You should always be cautious, even if Wilder's hurt. Always be cautious of that right hand. Same thing happened with Fury. Same thing happened with Spilker. Same thing happened with plenty of fighters. And Luis Ortiz should have known better than that. But either way, it was a very, very good knockout. And whether or not the referee took his time, or whether he counted too fast, or whether he should let the fight continue or not, it's kind of irrelevant to me, because ultimately I think that the writing was on the wall from there on after. And even though Luis Ortiz was in full control of that fight, and a lot of people will be saying how Wilder is exposed, but he's always been exposed. So for me, I don't really go with that whole narrative. But it was only going to be a matter of time when Wilder threw the right hand. And when he did, and it landed, that's all she wrote. So congratulations to Deontay Wilder. Of course, he moves on to his February 22nd date in a rematch with Tyson Fury. And again, Tyson Fury, he's one of these guys who, just like the first fight, tends to switch off. And whatever fighter switches off, that's when you get caught. And the thing is, I mean, I know I've heard some people saying online that Luis Ortiz took a dive. I don't think he took a dive. Not at all. I think that Ortiz, he's never been good at absorbing shots. He really hasn't, and he's always really been there to get hit. He's been laced up quite a few times, and he's been wobbled a little bit earlier on in his career and that as well. But with somebody who hits as hard as Wilder, there's only ever going to be one winner, and it's always a matter of when, not if. Now, I don't know how the judges were scoring this fight up to that point, but I think most people will agree that Ortiz was winning that fight quite comfortably. And again, it's a case of with Wilder, as he said before, you need to be perfect for every second of 12 rounds. I just need to be perfect for 2 seconds when I land that big punch. And it proved that yet again. And it doesn't matter who stands there in front of him. If he lands on you when you switch off, you're in trouble. Luis Ortiz, in my opinion, in that moment, he switched off. He got too comfortable. He really did. Now, Ortiz, his game plan was quite literally to land to the body and slow Wilder down, then trap him, and then just unload on him like he did in round number 7 the last time out. And while he was landing some pretty good shots, and he was landing pretty good on Wilder at times, especially with a body shot. And Wilder, he seemed to be like laughing at the body shot. He was pounding his chest like King Kong and what have you. But you could see too many of those were really going to bother him. But as I said before, any fighter who gets complacent with Deontay Wilder, you're going to pay the price. And Tyson Fury in their rematch, he needs to make sure that he doesn't get complacent like Luis Ortiz did and like he did in the first fight. So either way, congratulations to Deontay Wilder. Let's see what happens if this fight does actually go ahead on February the 22nd between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. Drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.